The one question that can shatter a narcissist's mask and force them to squirm in their own lies. There's a certain kind of person who doesn't just enter a room. They ooze into it. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The one with the oversized smile that never reaches their eyes. The one who spins every interaction into a twisted maze where you're the one lost, second-guessing, and wondering if maybe you are the problem. They don't just create drama. They thrive on it. They breathe it in like oxygen. Confusion is their currency, and your emotional energy, their daily fuel. But here's the crack in their armor. They can't survive where there's clarity. Specifics ruin their act. Truth is their kryptonite. They need the fog, the vagueness, the constant half-accusations like, you never care, or everyone thinks you're the problem. Because the second you try to make sense of it, you're stuck in their trap, arguing, defending, twisting yourself into not trying to prove your worth. That's exactly where they want you. Most people, they take the bait. They jump into the argument, desperate to clear their name, to prove they're not the monster being painted. And once that happens, boom, game over. But there's a way to stop the game cold. One line, one question, and it cuts through their fog like a knife. You look them dead in the eye and say, what exactly do you mean by that? That's it. No drama, no panic, just calm, steady curiosity. And suddenly, the script flips. Now they're the one under the spotlight. Now they're the one on the hook. Because if what they said had any truth, they'd explain it. They'd have details. They'd talk to you like an adult. But a narcissist, a manipulator, they choke. They stumble. They start tossing out vague nonsense. Always get defensive and say, you know what I mean. Classic move. Because here's their trick. They want you to fill in the blanks. They want you to build the case they couldn't build themselves. And the moment you start guessing, you're back in their game. Don't. Stay calm. Repeat yourself if you have to. No, I don't know what you mean. Be specific. Then silence. Let the pause hang. Watch how fast they squirm. Watch how the smirk fades. Because deep down, they don't believe half the garbage they say. They're just lobbing verbal grenades, hoping one lands close enough to leave a scar. But now, you're not scrambling anymore. You're not defending. You're not dancing. You've dragged their chaos into daylight. That one question isn't just words. It's a mirror. It forces them to face the emptiness behind their accusations. And when lies meet direct questions, they crumble. Truth can explain itself. Lies can't. So next time someone throws a loaded accusation your way, don't panic. Don't argue. Don't fall into the trap. Just stop, breathe, and calmly say, what do you mean by that? And then watch. Watch the mask slip. Watch the performance break. Watch how quickly the act collapses when you refuse to play the role they cast you in. Because clarity is their nightmare. And you're calm? That's the one thing they can't control. And that's exactly how they set the trap. They want you tangled up, running circles in your head, desperately trying to clear your name. That's the game. But the very second, you stop, breathe, and calmly drop one simple line. What do you mean by that? Everything flips. The room gets heavy. The air shifts. Suddenly, they're the one under the microscope, and they hate it. Because this was never supposed to be a two-way street. They weren't planning to explain. They were counting on you to panic, to start pleading your case, to prove you're not the villain in the story they made up. But now, you're not playing. You're demanding clarity, and clarity is poison to them. If they had truth on their side, no problem. Truth stands tall in daylight. Truth doesn't sweat under the spotlight. But a manipulator, a narcissist, they choke, they fidget, they snap back with lines like, why are you being so defensive? Why are you questioning me? You know exactly what I mean. No, actually, you don't. So you say it again, steady as a rock. No, really, what do you mean by that? And then you wait. Let the silence sting. Let them scramble. Because here's the truth, they can't deliver coherence. They live off vagueness, off smoke and shadows. And when you strip that away, when you force specifics, the whole act starts to crack. That's when they either explode, storm off, or throw another cheap trick your way. A deflection, another baseless jab. Something like, you're just trying to start a fight. Classic bait. Don't bite. Because in that moment, the mask is off. You can see it plain as day. This was never a conversation. It was control. Always control. And when clarity enters the room, their control evaporates. Think about it. When someone can't give you a straight answer, when they dodge every basic question, when their only defense is turning it back on you, that tells you everything. No screaming required. No argument. Just clarity. So next time it happens, don't flinch. Don't fold. Don't get sucked into the noise. Just breathe, look them in the eye, and drop it again. What do you mean by that? That line isn't aggression. It isn't rude. It's just truth standing tall. And manipulators, they can't handle truth. Because once the fog clears, you see it. You see them. The performance, the guilt trips, the emotional bait, all of it collapses in the light of one simple question. And when they realize they can't hook you anymore, they either back down, or they start hunting for someone else to play their game. Either way, you win. Because you didn't get pulled into the storm. You didn't dance for them. You didn't let their chaos write your script. You just paused, asked, and let the whole illusion crumble. That's power. Quiet, steady, undeniable power. That's the trick. They want you to buy into the lie that the only way to deal with them is through chaos. See, a narcissist thrives in the storm. They love the raised voices, the finger-pointing, the back-and-forth accusations. In that noise, they can twist reality, flip the script, and still come out looking like the poor, misunderstood victim. That's their stage. But here's the truth. You don't win by out-shouting them. You win by refusing to play the game at all. The power move isn't loud. It's quiet, clean, sharp. It's one simple question, delivered steady and calm, like a blade cutting through fog. What do you mean by that? That's it. No anger, no sarcasm, just a line in the sand that says, I don't deal in shadows. If you want to talk to me, you bring light. And that one line, it changes everything. Because manipulators expect drama. They are ready for pushback, for defensiveness, for the emotional spiral that gives them room to take control. But when you refuse to take the bait, when you respond with calm clarity, they choke on it. They start scrambling. Why are you being so difficult? Why are you twisting my words? Translation: why aren't you letting me control you like I control everyone else? But you don't bite. You stay steady. You just repeat. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm asking you to clarify. What do you mean by that? Now they are cornered. If they dodge, it's obvious. If they answer, they risk exposing the empty mess behind their accusation. Either way, the mask slips. And the best part, you didn't raise your voice. You didn't hurl an insult. You didn't give them a show. You just quietly drew a boundary that says, clarity only, truth only. That's what real strength looks like. Not armor, not shouting, precision. Most people think boundaries are big declarations, slam-the-table moments. But the most effective ones are subtle, consistent, and calm. You don't need a sword. You need a scalpel. And your scalpel is that one question. What do you mean by that? No fireworks, no theatrics, just steady repetition that forces them to face their own emptiness. Because the second you stop reacting, the second you stop spinning in their little play, the whole performance crumbles. They realize you're not the easy target anymore. They can't pull your strings. They either step up with truth and clarity, or they walk away to find someone else to manipulate. Either way, you win. And the win doesn't look like a dramatic showdown. It looks like quiet confidence. It looks like them losing control while you sit calm, steady, unmoved. That's how you beat the game. Not by fighting harder, not by screaming louder, but by never playing in the first place. All it takes is one question, and they never see it coming. You just quietly drew a boundary that says, clarity only, truth only. That's what real strength looks like. Not armor, not shouting, precision. Most people think boundaries are big declarations, slam-the-table moments. But the most effective ones are subtle, consistent, and calm. You don't need a sword. You need a scalpel. And your scalpel is that one question. What do you mean by that? No fireworks, no theatrics, just steady repetition that forces them to face their own emptiness. Because the second you stop reacting, The second you stop spinning in their little play, the whole performance crumbles. They realize you're not the easy target anymore. They can't pull your strings. They either step up with truth and clarity, or they walk away to find someone else to manipulate. Either way, you win. And the win doesn't look like a dramatic showdown. It looks like quiet confidence. It looks like them losing control while you sit calm, steady, unmoved. That's how you beat the game. Not by fighting harder, not by screaming louder, but by never playing in the first place. All it takes is one question, and they never see it coming.